Well, everybody, we're back again. Welcome to Facebook Live and our second of our Conversations with Coaches series hosted by National Scouting Report and me, Mike Smith. I'm a former Power 5 head softball coach. Also been coaching for over 21 years, have success in scouting, recruiting, and just the overall coaching experience. Tonight, we're discussing softball and how COVID-19 has affected the game at all levels, as well as a few softball-related topics that are at the forefront across our country. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we're joined by co-hosts. My co-host for tonight, Robby Wilson from Arkansas. And then my other two guests are Nikki Bowey and Rachel Brown. I'm going to give each one of them an opportunity tonight to talk about themselves a little bit. So Robby, ball's in on your field right now.
On my field. At least we're on some field since we can't go to any field right now. Obviously, Coach Robby Wilson, I'm a regional director. Basically, softball is my life, as you can tell, even on this show. Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas, West Tennessee. I was recruited to play college football and college baseball. Aside from that, I wish Mike asked me beforehand if I could tell you the number of commitments I've had in all my years at NSR softball. But I mean, placing all of them, it's kind of hard to keep count. So,
Nick, you're up. You're up to bat right now.
Hey, I love to be up to bat. This must be the spot that I thrive in. Actually, it was the 4 spot. No, just kidding. So I'm from Colorado originally, but I played ball at Mercer University, go Bears. And now I am the area director in Central Florida. But I have kids all over the state. I have some kids in Colorado, my home state, and then work with some kids in the Carolinas too. So been doing this for 4 years. Actually had my 4-year anniversary this month. So super exciting and love helping the kiddos, man. I love all my kids. I don't have any biological children of my own. So I have a lot of non-biological children that I call all of them my kids.
What Nikki's not telling you, she has an MBA from Central Florida. So she's a smart.
Oh yeah. I forgot that part. I forgot that. I always go back to my alma mater, Bears, but I did go to UCF and I got my MBA and my master's in sports business management. And I worked in the NFL for 6 years.
I was just about to throw that out there for you.
Yeah, that was fun.
Well, Rach, you're up.
All right, I'm up. Well, like Coach Mike said, I'm Rachel Brown. Played at Troy University in Alabama. I was an NSR athlete going through the recruiting process, had a scout, led me in all my recruiting decisions, which obviously led me to Troy, go Trojans. And that is what really made me passionate about what I do. I wanted to help athletes live that same dream. So here I am working. My area is Alabama, but I do have athletes all over the country that I work with. So thanks for having me.
Well, as you guys can see, we got a great group tonight. A lot of experience here, both scouting, evaluating, finding prospects, homes, as well as some coaching experience, and of course, some Division I softball play. So a lot of great minds here, and we're going to have a good time tonight in the next 25 or 30 minutes. But right now, we're going to dip right into this conversation. Our first topic tonight, and something that's been on the forefront of really sports and really the spring sports, is just the state of softball and the recruiting process with the effects of COVID-19. So Robby, I'm going to throw it off to you because you've been the pro at all this. A lot of the different interviews and stuff that we've been doing, you've got a great mind and have a lot of insight on what's going on. So why don't you throw it off there and we'll round table this around and give everybody an opportunity to kind of give us their input on this.
I think the biggest thing is, as you know, from the other team talks and organization talks that we've done, for each piece of how COVID-19 has affected college softball recruiting and college recruiting as a whole, we could spend an hour on each piece of it. We could literally sit here and talk about it all day. But I think the same thing that me and you were talking about earlier, and all of the people watching right now, the thing that everybody needs to accept is that they don't need to panic. at the end of the day, at the end of all this, once it's all done with, the college softball coaches are still going to need to recruit, and the recruits are still going to need to be recruited. And so the only difference is, and kind of like we talked about, everybody has this paranoia of, oh, the 20 money is going to be gone, 21 money is going to be gone, and then the 22s know they're the hottest class right now, and the 23s and 24s that did have a little bit of time to tip to win are now really being looked at by most divisions, not all, but most. And so now all of a sudden they had to go from 30 miles an hour to 100. But at the end of the day, 20s and 21s have to, and I know you're going to elaborate on that a little bit. They need to understand, for every door that closes, there's going to be 4 or 5 that open. It may not be the ones that you had before, but understand, as we all know, and some people are going to hate me for saying this, girls mature faster than boys.
Nobody hate you. That's just the act. That's just the foregone fact, buddy.
Yeah, and so naturally, and you and I both know from the college, every one of us that's on here, from the college softball coaches we've been talking to, there are actually, it's not an overwhelming number, but there's almost every school, with the exception of the ones of, that they're going to have 1 or 2 juniors not coming back. They're going to have the sophomore transferring because she wasn't up to snuff, and every one of them are going to have 1 or 2 seniors, with the exception of your OUs and Arizonas and UCLAs of the world. There are going to be a large number that all of a sudden have to be replaced one way or another. So if there's one thing that I could say about it all, it's that don't believe everything that you read on social media. Don't believe everything that you read on anything, and don't panic, but get active. Every single one of y'all from 2020 to 2024 have something right now you should be doing. And I know later on, once the opportunity is there, we'll talk about it. But there's 3 things. There's 3 things sitting there right there on the tee that have always been important, but now they are absolutely the most important in college softball recruiting.
Nick, do you have anything on that?
I think Robby covered most of it, but I just think that the kids everybody's going to be in the same spot as they were going out of this, because everybody's in this together. But the kids that are doing what they're supposed to be doing right now, the workouts and the, fielding and hitting practice and all this stuff, which my kids have been sending me every single day. They're grinding. I have kids that are in better shape now than they were before this started. And so those are the kids that are going to come out on top, are the ones that are really grinding during this downtime. You really have nothing else to do, right?
Yeah,
but school and to grind.
Absolutely. And that's the one thing that I think I've been most impressed with on social media and really just across the country, is watching the work that these prospects are putting in. It's not just softball. It's every sport across the country. You see it all over. I know that we follow a lot of NSR kids and some other prospects in a lot of other sports, but that's the one thing. And they're coming up with their own ideas and creative stuff. And that's the fun part of being able to see really what is going on out there, when really you have to design and make up things. I remember, and I'm going to date myself a little bit from the rest of you, but when I was growing up, we would find things to do out there, throw the ball against a wall. That's how we got our skills better. Throw the ball against the garage, figure out ways to improve our skills. And I think we're going back to the younger years for me with a lot of these kids, and really trying to find what's in your house and how can we make things better. How do you think, while we're still on this COVID, and I'm gonna bring this to you, to Rach, how do you think that this COVID-19 could affect the transfer portal that's going on? I know our high school kids don't have to worry about it, but how does the high school and how does the college transfer portal, could that play into effect to the high school kids?
Absolutely. I think that there are going to be a lot of kids enter the transfer portal because of the uncertainty of what's going on. But I also think that I do think the high school athletes will be affected by that. Especially maybe they're committed, a 2021 that's committed going in, thinking that there's only one shortstop that they have to beat out maybe for a year or 2. But now the transfer portal may be swamped with amazing shortstops, and that coach may pick up one more. And now that high school kid may think, maybe I don't want to go here because that kid may play over me. Maybe that kid is a sophomore going in. So I definitely think it's going to be a trickle effect into the high school. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see it play out for sure.
What would you have done?
Who, me?
Oh, Rachel. I mean, I just
Oh.
thought about it with being a college pitcher, which we all know. I mean, from your time at Ole Miss, there's 4 to 6 pitchers on a good roster.
Sure.
If Rachel, if you're even a 20 that's signed, but all of a sudden they are going to have some coming back, what would you? I mean, maybe you don't want to answer this live, but
I think that's a great question. I want to hear. In fact, Nikki, be thinking about what you're going to answer, because we're going to go to Rachel first, and then we're coming to you. If you were a senior in high school right now, how would you handle this COVID-19 situation? And we're going to talk about eligibility here, but you can kind of lead us into that next question.
Okay, so like you said, Mike, I was a pitcher. And I do know that there are going to be 4 to 6 pitchers on a staff, right? But I also know that every year something's going to happen to at least 2 of the pitchers. It's nature of the game, right? When my freshman year at Troy, I went in and ended up being the only pitcher that was healthy at one point. So I know for my position, especially, I'm not going to take, if they bring on another pitcher, due to COVID or a senior gets another year of eligibility. As a pitcher, I'm not really freaking out that much, because I know that something in the long run is going to happen, most likely. There's not one team that has a 6 pitcher staff that is all healthy. So I don't. That's my take on it. I think I would stay committed to my school and go and maybe get better. Redshirt a year if I needed to, if I really felt like if I needed to. But like I said, I think something happens to a pitching staff and pitchers are used a lot. So that's my take.
Coming to you, Mercer girl.
Okay, so I was a shortstop back in the day. They don't make them like me anymore. But I always, I was willing to play wherever the coach wanted me. So I think that now it's like sometimes kids are so focused on like, I need to be a pitcher, I need to be a catcher, I need to be a third baseman. And now it's like, maybe you need to open up your options a little bit and be like, coach, I'll play wherever you want me to play. Just put me in, because I guarantee if you can hit, they're going to find a spot for you. Amen. And no matter where you're going to be year to year, there's always somebody coming after your position. So you're going to have to work anyways. Unlike a lot of our NSR athletes, I only had one offer. So it's not like I had everybody beating my door down to get me on the field. Like I had one offer. I was committed to that school. I was going there. They paid for it. And there was nowhere else I was going, because that actually turned out to be my perfect fit. So like, I always say, like, do what you say you're going to do in anything in life. That's like my thing. Do what you say you're going to do. So like, if you're committed to a school, figure out a way to help that school, because everybody has a role to play. And sometimes maybe going in this year, your role is to be more of a support part.
I love that.
So just know your role and do what you need to do to help the team, because it's not about you. If you're getting your education paid for, dude, stick with it.
Not everybody is going to get to play every game. There's 9 positions, 10 if you count the DP spot, and there's usually 18 to 20 at the collegiate level. We're talking high school, you're probably talking 12, 15 on a high school team, maybe a little bit more. So some people have to know what their roles are, and they need to flourish in them. And I want the listeners out there, especially you prospects, understand there's some of you that are going to go into college and you may not play your first year, but you become a role player. Now if you turn up being a role player of a pinch runner or a pinch hitter, then be the best pinch runner or the best pinch hitter that you can be for your team at that time. And no matter what happens at the end of the year, whether you win or lose, you will always have a piece of what goes on within that program. So before we get to the next question, I want our listeners and those that are viewing this out there to know that we are going to be taking some questions. So if anybody has any questions for one of the 3 individuals here that are on the screen tonight, or even myself, feel free to type that in on the Facebook Live, and those questions will get to us. And we will do our best to try to answer as many as we can in the coming minutes that we have. But I'm going to roll kind of into our next question, which is a little bit kind of where we talked about, but what should athletes be doing? I'm going to throw this to you first, Rachel. What should athletes be doing right now during this time with COVID, while they're at home, not able to get out onto the field, probably not hanging out with their, their sisters on the softball field. They just have their brother. They may have mom or dad hanging out. What can they do at this time to keep themselves in shape so when they can get back on the field, they're battle tested and they're ready to go full steam?
Well, I think we kind of hit on that earlier. Mike, you saying, you went back to the old days, throwing the ball up against a brick wall. I remember doing that, and on our driveway, pitching against the brick wall and working on my defense as it bounced back to me, So there are so many things that you can do. Hit off a tee, pitchers, get a spinner, get a ball. If you don't have someone to catch you, work on your spins, do it into your couch. There's so many things that you can do physically around your house, staying in shape, run up and down the street, up and down your driveway, run up and down the steps in your house, find something to do. YouTube is a great way to find different things to do as well. I think a lot of, I watched some Major League Baseball players putting on YouTube what they have been doing during this time, and they're in their house. So, there's different ways that you can get some of that information and different things to do, but also work on your mental game. While you're doing a drill on the tee, think about what you're doing. Otherwise, you're just going through the motions. So, there's different ways to work on all aspects of your game. And if you're not doing it right now, you are going to suffer when it's time to get back on the field. That's a fact. So I tell my kids, it takes a lot to play college softball. I've been there, done that. And if you're not willing to put in the work now, you're gonna pay for it. So that you got to stay active. You got to be doing something for sure.
Robby, what you got for the viewers out there?
Well, and first, as Rachel was talking about that, we just had the NSR blog go out a couple of days ago that explained what they should be doing, and then had different NSR prospects, videos that, it showed different ideas for drills. We're a little over a month in now. And as we know from dealing with the prospects, on a day-to-day basis and, text back and forth, over the last 7 to 14 days, they've gotten to that redundancy boredom phase where they're like, any ideas, coach? I hate to bug you about this, but any ideas? I'm doing the same drills, same stuff, please. Even if it's standing on my head and trying to throw the ball with my feet, tell me something. And so, the next thing is kind of be creative. And it kind of leads me to my answer to your question, which is the first thing that the girls should be doing, or the prospects should be doing right now, regardless of where they get the information from, they need to figure out where, based on their graduation year, what does that mean right now in their recruiting? And then what do they need to be doing over these next 45 to 60 or however so many days that are going to put them in a good spot once the gates do open?
Sure.
Because it's kind of like you said, once the gates open, it's going to be a run of the bulls, and the biggest mistake that we're seeing right now is the ones that are sitting to wait and let the dust settle before they start to make a plan. And those girls don't understand. I'm seeing girls not only get on a whole bunch of brand new whiteboards, but hurdle over other girls because they are doing those couple of little things, which is communication with the right coaches, and not just video. It's no longer about video. It's about getting relevant video, updated video multiple times a week that demonstrates several things. So it's not get a video and then use that video for the next several weeks. You should be getting a couple of pieces of video a couple of times a week. And Nikki was actually talking about that earlier.
One thing I want to add is, for those of you that are out, don't forget that we actually have a National Scouting Report softball page on Facebook, and you can find some of these drills and tips to really help you out on a daily basis. I know Rachel's got a lot on there. I know Mandy out of Tennessee and Missouri, she's got some that have been doing some stuff. Nick, I think, do you have some on there too? You doing some tips and stuff like that?
Throwing it through her leg.
Working on
there you
it.
go, throwing it through your leg, learn how that shortstop stuff. But
yeah, if anybody wants to give me some tips on what they want to see, that might be helpful.
I think that's great. I mean, I think that's good. Those viewers that are out there, shoot a message through our softball page on National Scouting Report and really ask what you would like to be seen. And I'm sure our scouts will get out and really try to get some information to you, either perform them on their own or try to find something for you. But I don't want to miss out on you, Nick. Do you have anything to add to that, or can we go to that to another topic?
I think you guys pretty much covered it. Great work.
Okay, good. Well, so here's the next thing I want to add, and maybe we can be quick with this one because I think we've kind of touched on a little bit. But how is the graduation class? I know, Robby, you talked about this a little bit. How is the graduation classes coming up, 20, 21, 22, and then into 23, 24, affected right now with the eligibility rules, COVID-19? How are they being all affected right here? So Nick, I'm going to start with you since you didn't have something with the last time, but what do you think with this?
I mean, I think that there will be a trickle down effect, probably as far as 23 and 24. But I think like with the transfer portal, it's going to be a little bit sticky. I don't think that there's one answer to say, this is what's going to happen with 20s. This is what's going to happen with 21s, because as we're seeing from talking to a bunch of the college coaches, everybody's in a different spot. You know, they might not have some seniors that are coming back, and then some may have some seniors coming back. We even heard about a school that's actually closing.
Yeah, we heard that today.
Today we heard that. So it's like the transfer portal is probably going to throw a wrench in everything. But I just think that some of the opportunities that weren't there before, like you said, may open up. And I just think that as long as the athlete is realistic about where they fit and they're getting in front of the right coaches, then everybody's going to be okay. But regardless of your class, you need to know what you can and can't say to a coach, when you can and can't say that, what coaches can say to you. And that's the thing that, you know, like we help all of our kids know exactly what to say. So I don't know if Robby or Rachel, you want to kind of jump in on like what you should say right now, or who you can't, because there's a dead period. And I know that Robby, in previous Zoom calls, you've kind of addressed this a little bit, but like for people that are listening now, I know that that's probably one of the things that is most interesting to them that they need to know about.
Well, and one of the examples I was like on a team Zoom last night, and it always embarrasses the girls whenever I use it, but I've been using the example. It's kind of like most of the kids don't remember writing the letter that says check yes or no to the boy that you thought was cute, you know, but it's kind of like writing that letter and saying check yes or no, and the boy takes the letter and he doesn't answer it. Next day, he hasn't answered and give it back. Next day, he hasn't answered and give it back. How many boys are you going to write that letter to? As opposed to if your friend happens to tell you, hey, Johnny over there thinks that you are beautiful and is in love with you. Now and I know that's the worst metaphor. My girls are always like, Robby, you're so corny. But at the same time, like we talked about, it's consistent communication, but it's with the coaches who typically like this style of kid and have said, hey, there's a high probability I'm going to need a 22 shortstop. You know, I'm not 100% sure, but give me what you got right now. And then we turn around and supply. And when we do turn around and advise the kid on what to say, because contrary to common belief, our kids do send their own emails. Whenever we advise the kid on what they're going to say to the coach, it's as simple as, you know, hey, coach, I know with the COVID-19 stuff and you trying to figure out what your roster is and isn't going to look like, I realize you may not know necessarily, but I wanted to go ahead and express my interest to you and let you know, here's my profile, here's my academic information, here's my video. I know because of contact rules, you can't contact me. So here's Nikki Bowey, my NSR scout, who was a smash the ball at Mercer. And so feel free to contact her. And by all means, if you figure out that there is a need for me, let me know. Otherwise, I'll keep you updated every couple of weeks. And until that coach says no or says, hey, 9 times out of 10, it's not no. It's, hey, she's not exactly what I'm looking for. And it ain't personal, it's business. But bottom line is the girls, there's over 1,700, even with the ones that are closing down, there's over 1,700 college softball programs. There is no way for them to know who needs what for what graduation year, based on, in addition to COVID-19 returning and all this jazz going on. Bottom line, I mean, you see, we're trying not to point at it. We're making a conscious effort not to point at it. But I actually feel incredibly sorry for the people that don't have us.
Yeah, I would agree. We got a question that came in from David Humphreys, who's one of our new scouts out in California. So he just came on with us. So you California recruits, prospects that are listening to us, Dave's going to do a great job out there on the West Coast for us, but he's asking me personally, being a former Power 5 coach, what would I be doing right now with the coronavirus? Well, Dave, I'd be inside social distancing. That's what I'd be doing. That's what I would be doing. But honestly, I would probably be having conversations with my current players per the NCAA rules, of course, and really just trying to keep them mentally in check, kind of find out what they're doing, trying to hold them accountable, I think, for what they're doing on their own. We just talked about some drills and tips, so I'd be probably having those conversations. So he asked about the athletes, and then what would I be doing about the portal? So that's a really tough question, because until I had my exit meetings at the end of the year to find out what seniors were coming back, which weren't, we're going to transfer. Are the 20s still planning on coming? Maybe have the conversations with the 20s on, hey, this is what's going on. Here's the landscape of our program. What's your idea? Do you want to still come into the school? Do you want to go on the transfer portal? We still want to have you, and kind of lay that all out, and then figure out, do I need to go find somebody right now to hop into the portal to help make us better, to give us a shot to compete for a national championship? Of course, I'm a Power 5 coach, so ultimately that's what we're trying to do. And then what I'm doing is I'm trying to prepare myself for the coming year, which would be the 21 class. We've talked a little bit about the classes, the 20 class, which is already signed, and they're already going into the school, and they should be having serious conversations with their coaches. The 21 class, which I think is the class that is kind of up in the air right now. I threw this out talking with another group this morning, and I said, what people don't realize is the 21 kids that have committed to the universities already have made those commitments, and now these four classes are going to be in there. Now a fifth class, those kids that have maybe already committed now may say, well, what's my choice? Do I decommit? Do I pull back and go try to find somewhere else? Do I stay in there, take a chance, and then they could potentially, at the end of their fall semester, hop on the transfer portal, which means now, as a Power 5 coach, I may have to go back to the transfer portal and find somebody else to replace them, which means if those kids in the 21 class decommit, that may open up a spot for another 21 that never had anybody on their radar, or was with somebody else that now may have an opportunity to go somewhere. So 21s, I want you to know that your recruiting story is not over. It's still alive and well. Your 20s, there's still spots open and available. 21s are still, be patient. I know Robby said be patient a little bit. Keep the faith. Talk to the coaches. If you've committed already, talk to those coaches. If you're not talking to coaches right now as a 21, there's something wrong, and you need to start figuring out a way to be able to get in front of coaches. And that's what NSR can do for you. If you're a 22 right now, you're the hottest recruit out there. That's what coaches are calling our scouts about. And now you get into 23s and 24s, they're still on the board. Coaches are still slowly starting to put them on the radar. So that's kind of what I would do, Dave. And Krista, I know you guys are probably together out there. And so I just wanted to make sure that I got the chance to answer that question a little bit. But I wanted to get on to another question. Let's go to this one. So we talked a little bit about recruits and the recruiting part. How important right now is video for coaches across the country? How important is video right now across the country? And I'm going to throw that to you, Robby, to start off.
Video has always been super important when it came to recruiting. It's like we talked about before. The video gets you the interview. It doesn't get you the job, but it gets you the interview. And it's even back whenever we had the VCR on top of VCR, making a highlight tape and with VHS for and y'all kids that don't know what that is, shame on you.
I remember having stacks and stacks of those things behind my desk. Like I had to get extra cabinets just to store those VHS tapes.
I had to make my skills video on a VHS tape. So don't complain about these like YouTube videos and all that. Like mine was on a VHS tape, and how hard is it to copy a VHS tape?
The prospects today have it really easy to interact with coaches because everything's on a link. And so I didn't want to cut you off, Robby, but I mean, they
Yeah,
have,
no.
they have it really easy right now to be able to get their skills in front of coaches.
And that's what, you know, we talked about the evolution of video. So like back then when it was VCR on top of VCR, you know, 10, 15 years ago, you could get a video and you rolled with that video for a while. And then what happened is all of a sudden you had skills videos companies pop up. And then all of a sudden you had, you know, the technology blew up. And then all of a sudden you had websites that, you know, made it so much easier. And so then all of a sudden coaches started, you know, taking a different stance as far as skills videos. And, you know, all of a sudden every device that you, I mean, your watch will video nowadays. Who would have thought that we were going to be Inspector Gadget in the year 2020? You know, but things have just, the video has not only, and we knew it before COVID-19, a prospect that did not have video, a prospect that filled out an NSR questionnaire or reached out to us on social media in a message, when we say, you know, hey, send me a couple of clips that you got on your phone or that mom and dad, when they say they have zero video clips, being honest, it was a red flag. Because everybody has a clip of their baby girl on their phone. But if they don't, you know, so long story short to it, video was not only super important, and it's kind of become the way that everything is done because there's no excuse not to have video. But now with COVID-19 and the coaches got sent home and all of a sudden they can't go do anything and it's a dead period and they can do nothing but recruit. And so it's like, you know, if Coach Jane Doe over at ABC University sends me a message right now and says, hey, I need a 23 pitcher. And I say, oh, I got one. You know, her name is Nikki Bowey. And then she says, okay, you know, send me what you got. And then I said, she's a 23 pitcher. You got any video? Well, no. Well, tell me about her. She's a 23 pitcher. You know, and it doesn't have to be special. The bottom line is every phone, every tablet, you know, even your Zach Morris phones have some sort of video capability. It doesn't have to be perfect. But the bottom line is, and the tough thing about it, the video is king right now. And I think we're going to see, you and I talk about this, I think we're going to see video dominate recruiting more than it ever has before, all the way through the fall, even after the gates open, because coaches watching their budgets are going to want to proof that kid before they spend that little bit of budget they have to go travel somewhere to go see some kid. So kids without video, it's going to be hard to get them there. But in addition, because it's so easy, it's not just having video, it's relevant video and it's frequent video. A couple of days ago when a coach asked about a kid and I sent what I had, and then he said, you got any video over doing this? And I sent the clip and he said, bro, that's a month old. Do you have anything newer? So now it is pretty much become accepted that if your video that you're using is a month old, you could have gained 10 pounds by now. You could have rolled your ankle by now. But when you send a coach, and I did it earlier this morning where coach says, hey, I've finished my exit meetings. Please tell me you got a 21 pitcher. And I'm like, yeah, I've actually got a couple of them I think you'd like. And I send it. What does she do? She ends up zoning in on the kid. She's like, this clip was from last night. And I'm like, yes, it was. And then she's like, well, at least I know that's what she looks like and what she throws like right now. Can you have her text me? Makes an offer to the kid on the phone off of the video.
Exactly. Prospects out there, we don't want you to be part of the COVID weight gain epidemic, if you guys can understand that. Don't be part of the COVID-19 weight gain epidemic. Keep yourself healthy, work out, do those things that you need to do, because hate for you to see video on one time and then something else happens. So anything, either Rachel or Nikki, you guys want to add to the video side of things?
I'll go just real quick. I just think that with the video that you're sending, you want to send how you look the best, right? So like I have a pitcher that sent me video and I'm like, were you hurt that day or were you just sick or something like that? And she's like, no, I was just working on my new form or whatever. And I'm like, well, you look really slow. You looked really slow. So like, you don't want to send video to coaches that make you look worse than what you are. So like the recent video helps, but like make sure it makes you look good. Make sure that there's not like loud music in the background because coaches are going to mute it anyways. And just make sure that it's good quality. It's not blurry. Like just, you know, hold your phone landscape ways like this.
You can see your skill set close up, not real far away.
Yeah.
I think that was.
You don't want to be like this big in the shot and be like, what are you looking at?
I think that's an important piece that I think a lot of people that are making videos forget about, is just because they may be close to you on video, and when a coach watches it, it's not close to them.
Yeah.
And they're not getting the full effect of what's going on. Rach, you want to add anything else to the video side?
I think Nikki, that was a great point. The right kind of video is what you want to be sending and getting it into the right hands, right? But don't wait until 45 seconds into the video. You throw an incredible rise ball. I had to watch 16 terrible rise balls to get to a really good rise ball. You know, make sure your really good stuff is at the front because you might lose people. So that's just my little tip on video.
Great. So we're gonna kind of start slowly closing this thing out. We're about 35 minutes in, and so we want to kind of close this thing out. But we've already talked about video. That's been a big piece that we've just talked about. And so we're going to talk about top 3 things that you always have been, that's always been important in the recruiting game, but it's even more important now for the athletes out there. So we've already talked about video. Robby, what's another area of those top 3 things that they need to know it's important?
Every one of us use the same, but it's fishing in the right ponds. And the bottom line is, and it's not like people think it is. It's not that every kid is shooting at a certain division and stuff like that. It's fishing in the right ponds in the sense that, like I talked about earlier, right now, most coaches have agreed that the number of emails that they're getting a day have actually increased by at least 200, if not 300 or 400%. And so naturally, yes, they're going to, they are going to spend a little bit more time looking at emails. But the funny thing is, or I guess the odd part about it is, if the coach is looking for it, they're a whole lot more likely to actually pay attention to it. And so if, the coach texts Nikki right now and says, I need a 21 pitcher, and she says, hey, I got one, this and this. And then the coach says, hey, have her email me this, and this. And then Nikki texts it to her prospect and she emails it to her. The coach is looking for it. She's expecting it. And so fishing in the right ponds, not just in the sense of what level can you play at, but also is the school even inside of your bubble? And then add on top of it, the coach is recruiting. I mean, when you were at Ole Miss, I knew what kids you would and would not pay attention to. And every coach is that way. It's the recruiting personality, no different than the prospects that are watching right now that have a boyfriend. They know what their type is. College softball coaches have a type. This coach will take a 5-foot catcher. This coach wants the dude. Not that they want a dude, but they want the dude. And so, bottom line is fishing in the right ponds, and then consistent communication with the right coaches. That's another thing, is the girls that do actually communicate with the right coaches at the right level that actually do have a need, but they communicate and then they ghost for 2 months. And not understanding within 2 weeks, they forgot about you. Doesn't matter that they have a need for you. They forgot about you. Don't matter how studly you are. So fishing in the right ponds, and then consistent communication with those coaches.
Anybody else have another one out there? Yeah, go ahead, Nick.
I do. I just want to say, control what you can control. And the one thing that you can control is your grades. Obviously your attitude too, but grades right now, like I said before, yeah, be a student athlete, not an athlete student. Everybody is studying from home right now. Do the best in your class, even if you're not able to go to school. Study for your ACT and your SAT, because with everything going on, not only was the academics important before this, but it's going to be way more important after this, because who knows what's going to happen with the athletic money.
Absolutely.
So control what you can control, be a good student, do your work, study for your tests, take your tests early and often. We always say, start taking your tests when you're a freshman. Then you have so much more time to get to the score you want, and coaches know how much to offer you because they know how much you're going to qualify for, right? But just when they're scheduled again, get in there, take them, study, be a great student, because that's going to make you way more attractive to every single coach in the country.
Absolutely. Great. You got anything to add to that?
My last thing is going to be stay positive and keep working hard. That's all I got.
I do want to add one more thing, and I know, Robby, we've talked about it a little bit, actually probably a lot of bit when we've had some of our calls with some of the travel ball teams, and the prospects and families, I want you guys to understand out there right now, recruiting is a big part. Scouting and recruiting is a big part of you trying to find that college home. You need a 24/7 advocate. An advocate is another word for a scout, somebody that can help you through your recruiting process and help you write your recruiting story. That person is going to be with you from start to finish, whether you sign with a four-year institution or it's a junior college. You need somebody that is going to help write your story and give you the right direction, send you to the right camps, get your video and name in front of the right coaches, not going and spending all this money on all these other things around there. So you need somebody that's going to help you. And I think that's a big part of this recruiting process, especially more now than ever before because of what's been happening with COVID-19. Robby, I want you to kind of just plug real quickly before we close this thing out. Robby's got a cool thing going on with prospects that he has. So why don't you kind of plug your live Facebook thing you got going on?
Yeah, we started the first one today. What we're doing is a couple of the prospects brought it to us and asked us to do a prospect takeover, where they take over the NSR softball page on Facebook and they go live. And they basically, for those 30 minutes, they own and run the page. And today we ended up doing day one, which was Emmy Guthrie, a 21 of ours that's committed to Oklahoma. Tomorrow we got Jenna Gibson that's committed to Memphis. And then Thursday we have Ryan Rassey that's committed to Purdue. And then Friday we have Madeline DiGlio that's committed to LSU. And then Saturday it's Kaylee Cavazos that's committed to UT Arlington. And if you want to watch, you go to the facebook.com/NSR softball. And at 1:30 Central Time every day this week, the prospect, which whosever day it is going to go live on there. And the purpose of them taking over the page and basically unfiltered, untaught, unorchestrated is them to have complete control and answer whatever you as a parent want to ask, whatever your kid wants to ask. So whether you're a 2021 that wants to ask them some questions because they're a 21 commit, you want to be in their shoes, or you're a 2027 that you look at them the same way that they used to look at the Lauren Chamberlains and the Kalani Ricketts and the Rachel Browns of the world. Bottom line is at facebook.com/NSR softball, 1:30 Central Time, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Comment all you want, ask everything you want. As we can tell from today, those girls are ready. They're on the ball. They'll ask whatever you throw at them.
Robby, I want to give props to you because I think that's a great thing to do for your prospects, and it gives them an opportunity to really showcase themselves. Even if they've been committed or not, it still gives them that opportunity to do that. So kudos to you for doing that. But I wanted to give a shout out here. One of our scouts wanted me to do this, and so I'm going to give a shout out to Jason Fowler Beecham and her family. She's a travel ball player with Tennessee Mojo. So I just wanted to kind of throw that shout out there. Got a little text message to do that, but I'm going to kind of end at this. Prospects, families, if you guys are wondering the best way to get your name and your videos in front of college coaches and you need help with your recruiting story, you need to get with an NSR scout. So the best way to do that is log into National Scouting Report's website at www.nsr-inc.com. Follow the tabs to athletes, find out more. You can also follow us on Facebook at National Scouting Report, on Twitter at NSR Now, and on Instagram at NSR_now. I want to thank Robby, Nikki, Rach for being on with us. What a great conversation we've had tonight. It's been a lot of fun. I know we're talking about doing part 2 here in a couple of weeks. And with that, thanks again for being part of Conversations with Coach tonight and discussing softball. And like I said, we hope that you guys become regulars with us Monday through Thursday each week for the next 3 weeks at 7 o'clock Central. Again, stay tuned to Facebook to find out if you're out there with softball. This panel will be back on again, so look for that in the next couple of weeks. Tomorrow we'll be on with Conversations with Coach, and our sport for tomorrow is going to be volleyball. We got some quote unquote heavy hitters coming on tomorrow night. So it should be very informative and fun. So don't miss out. To close out, I'm speaking directly to the prospects out there. I want you guys to listen. You guys need to train like champions each day, especially in this downtime. Be ready to go when the stay at home is gone and you can get out there. Like Robby said, the running of the bulls. Be scouted, be recruited, and that's the NSR way. I want you guys to stay safe, stay healthy. Good night. God bless. Thanks, everybody. Have a great evening.